Yeah, good morning guys, how you going? So no fishing today. We're going to do a service on my 150 Yamaha F150. I think it's at about 103 hours now, so we'll do oil filter, fuel filter, oil, gearbox oil, water pump. The internal anodes, the external anodes look pretty good, so I'm going to leave them. Yeah, but the internal anodes of the engine, yeah, so we'll do a full 100-hour service and I'll take you along for the ride. I'll try and give you some pointers, see how we go. Yeah, so I got all my parts from Outboard Spares in Melbourne. I think I ordered it Wednesday. It's Friday today, so I got here this morning. So that's pretty good. 2 days delivery from Melbourne. Can't complain about that. Reasonable price. I think it cost me like $400 all up for the whole kit. That's, you know, everything you need. So we'll unbox it and make sure it's all here, I suppose, before we start pulling it apart. But yeah, like I said, 2 days delivery. Pretty good. So you've got a list of the parts that they've sent. All right, we've got our oil, Penrite Marine, 4-stroke oil. External fuel filter, water separator. 2 bottles of gear oil. What do we got in here? We've got our water pump kit. Housing, O-rings. We've got a water pump plate as well, so we'll see how that's like. 100 hours, probably don't need to change that just yet, but we'll have a look. We've got it, we might put it on. But yeah. And what do we got? We've got oil filter, internal fuel filter, thermostat, spark plugs, thermostat gasket, and 2 O-rings for the gearbox oil. All right, we'll get into it. We might do the water pump first, get that over with, and then we'll crack on with the service. Yeah, so there's 8 bolts all up you got to undo. Take this rubber grommet off. There's a 12mm bolt in there. You got one hidden under here, under the anode just there. And you got 3 14mm either side. I always take the prop off as well. Just takes a little bit of weight off when you're trying to lift that gearbox in and out. And it gives you a good chance to check the thrust washer and all that sort of stuff. Check there's no fishing line caught behind your prop. But yeah, so we'll get started. All right, so we'll get started. We'll remove the propeller. I always take the propeller off. It just takes a little bit of weight off the gearbox. When you're putting it in and out, it makes it a little bit more easier. But yeah, so we'll remove the split pin. I always replace these split pins. You know, they're fairly cheap. It's a serviceable item. You don't want to keep reusing them. You know, you take it off once every 100 hours. Hopefully you don't have to take it off before that. Just watch out for fishing line so you don't get caught around your prop, and you're right. Yeah, so let's get into it. There you go. Normally not done up too tight, these prop nuts. Just snug them up. I like to pull it all off and lay it out in the order that we take it off. That way we reverse the order on the way back in, putting it all back together. So that's the plan. So you got a washer and the thrust washer behind here. Everything looks good in there, nice and greased and clean. Shaft looks alright. Gearbox seal looks okay. Beautiful. Alright, let's continue on. These 2 back bolts I always leave in with just a couple of threads, because once you undo all the bolts, theoretically there's nothing holding the gearbox in and it can drop out. And you don't want that, so yeah, leave like two turns or something like that on the thread, so once you drop it out it'll catch the gearbox. Then you undo the bolts and pull the rest of the way out. So the front 4 bolts, you'll need a ring spanner. You won't get a socket in there, so I've got a ratcheting one here. Just makes it a little bit easier. Alright, so this is the last bolt holding it in. I've left these two just in, just to catch the gearbox, just in case it falls, but they don't. But you just don't want to run that risk. So yeah, technically, we should be able to pick this up and wiggle it and it should drop out. Here it comes. Just got to be careful too, because it's all plastic inside of here, so if you twist and rotate, you can break the speedo input, which is just a plastic tube, plus other plastic stuff in there. So this should now pull out. Come straight down. Just like that. That's the speedo drive I was telling you about. You want to be careful of. Shift lever, don't touch that, otherwise you have a hard time getting it back into gear. Yeah, so I just set it up on a couple of timber sawhorses just to support the gearbox. But yeah, so basically undo these 4 12mm bolts, lift that plastic housing up. There should be 2 O-rings under that. They've got a ring that holds the metal housing for the water pump on. They call it the ring of hell because it's a pain in the ass to get off. But there's a way to get it off. We'll get it off and we'll continue on. So yeah, these 12mm bolts. The kit comes with new bolts for this, so that's always good. So this should just pop off. Just be careful because like I said, it's only plastic. Try not to break and damage anything. Here we go. But yeah, so there's the 2 O-rings I was saying. You got one there and you got one on the inside. So yeah, you replace them as well. And always take note of these locating pins because it'll only go on one way. It's sitting in, say, the 130, 430 position. So keep that in mind when you go to put it back on. So this is the metal ring I'm talking about. That's pretty hard to get off, but with a bit of persistence you'll get it off. Screwdriver and pry it off real gentle, just go side to side and you should get it off. Here it comes. Come on, baby. There we go. Bit of persistence, nice and gentle, she comes off. Yet again, this only goes on one way. It's got a lip at the top that stops, but lay it out in order, and when you put it back, you make sure you put it back the exact same way. Now they've got a plastic ring, and there should be 2 spring washers on underneath this as well. Plastic ring off. 2 spring washers and the housing and the water pump at the same time. It's actually 3 washers, flat washer and 2 springs. So if you keep them in the same order, just pick them up and put them all on at once. It's also important to note which way your fins are bending on your water pump, because if you put it on backwards, it won't pump water out. So it's sitting that way. These only go on one way too, by the way, because they've got a keyway here and keyways at the bottom, nothing at the top. But yeah, if you have a look at that, that's spinning clockwise. So when we put it on, make sure we're putting it on back, rotating on the clockwise position. So this metal plate looks fairly good. There's no real significant signs of wear or anything like that. So I think I'm going to leave that, you know. I don't think I'll change that one. Yeah, it comes in the kit. But look, I think that's more if you're up, you know, the 500-600 hour mark. Then you might see some signs of wearing. But this is pretty good, so I'm going to leave that on. And we'll crack on with reinstalling now. Just I'll give it a good clean up first. Just, you know, clean the shaft. Get a bit of emery paper and just clean that off. Make everything go back on nice and easy. Yeah, no, that's fine, that plate. Keyway looks good as well. The Woodruff key there. No damage on that, so we'll keep that. But yeah, like I said, I flush this engine really good. I use Solar Away every use. I run fresh water through the motor for probably half hour at a time after using it. Plus I reverse flush it with the manual way. So got to keep everything maintained. You know, you spend 80 grand on a boat, got to look after it. Make sure you get years and years of use out of it, as I have. So what is this? This is 2012 model. I've got 103 hours on it. So it doesn't seem like many hours, but where I fish out of Nora Head, you're on the ocean, so 40 odd minutes you're on the shelf. So you're really only doing maybe 2 to 3 hours maximum each trip on a 8-10 hour day of motor running. So that's why it takes a fair bit of time to get up to the 100-hour mark. All right, so we'll start to assemble. See, as I was saying, you got a keyway there, nothing up the top, so it only goes on one way. I always put a bit of Vaso on these too, makes it a hell of a lot easier getting all back together. Didn't clean up the shaft yet, have I? So we'll give that a bit of a clean up too. There's, like I said, just a bit of... I've got 400 grit here, so we're only just cleaning rust off it, you know, just so it slides on nice and easy. Give everything a good wipe down. All right. So we'll line that keyway up with our water pump. So if we just try and get a mental note where we're going to put it. So I've got it facing towards me. So put this keyway facing towards me. Facing towards me. Slide it down, give it a wiggle, and we're home. So the impeller is now installed all the way down correctly. A little bit of Vaso helps, as I was saying. Next part is the housing. Get a new housing with this kit too. How good's that? Same thing. I put a bit of Vaso on the fins just to help it start off, because you've got to bend them back, get that orientation right. As I said, we're rotating clockwise with the old one. Remember? So the fins are bending back. And we want to do the same thing. So slide our housing on, bend the fins back, get it started. rotate the shaft as we're putting a bit of pressure on. Rotating, rotating, rotating. Rotating the shaft. And we're all the way down. Okay, so the next step is our washers. Our 3 washers. It's actually 2 flat and 1 spring washer. So you got flat, spring washer, flat. Your plastic washer. And then our, what they call the ring of hell, but it comes off fairly easy. Putting it on, they say, is a lot easier. You get a shifter, just set it around the shaft a bit tight, and just work it down as you're working. All the way down. Just like that. Okay, so plastic housing. As I was saying, there's 2 locating notches there, which you've got to locate up with those pins. So it was the 130, 230, 430 position. Same thing, bit of vaso in the grooves of this, where the O-rings are going to sit, just to hold it in place so it doesn't fall out. Push this one in. And then the top one. And then we'll install it. So I've noticed on this plastic cover that goes over the metal of the water pump, the retaining ring up the top here is perished away. So it's not going to retain the O-ring properly. So I think I might order a new one of these just to be on the safe side. Yeah, we'll get a new one and go from there. But like I said, if we don't have that, it's not going to retain the O-ring properly, and if it doesn't seat properly, I don't think it'll pump water. So best to do it now while we've got it apart. So yeah, I won't get that plastic cover now till Monday, which is a bit disappointing. But yeah, like I was saying, that's where the O-ring sits, all the way around there, comes up and around there. There should be that plastic lip the whole way around, but yeah, it's obviously gotten hot and melted away. Look, $20 for a new one, you may as well replace it. It's starting to melt away in there as well, so I guess it's a good opportunity to replace it. You know, we got it off, we may as well. A bit of a disappointment, like I said, you got to wait till Monday, but not too bad. That's what, 1 o'clock Friday afternoon I've ordered it, express post from Brisbane. Monday it'll be here, Monday morning. So yeah, okay guys, so we got our new housing. As you can see, there's a lip all the way around that now where the O-ring will sit, so we'll fit that up and we'll put it in the gearbox and install the gearbox. Okay, so we got the O-ring in there that's going to line up with our metal housing. We've got those tabs there that are going to line up with the notches there. So we'll install that now. Should sit just like that, nice and flush. Alright, we'll install this other O-ring. It should sit something like that. So that O-ring just sits like that. Metal housing in place, lined up with the grooves. So we'll install that now. Just like that. It's all the way down. Beautiful. We've got those new bolts that we'll install. We'll just put a bit of anti-seize on them. So got anti-seize on these new bolts. They just go in like that. They've got a retaining washer. You've got to line up. Just like that. Don't want to do them up too tight. Just get them nice and tight. Well, hand tight. Then just a little ugga-dugga like that, like that, like that, like that. All right. So that's in. We're just about ready to reinstall this gearbox now. Okay. So we've got that new water pump housing on. I've greased up the splines of the shafts. Bit of Vaso on the tube here that's going to go into the speedo pickup. Cleaned up the bolts, put a bit of anti-seize on them. We're ready to install, so let's get it in. Just got to take a bit of care getting it in, line it up nice and straight. Here we go. Remember, it's all plastic, so just want to take your time and not put any pressure on it. Alright guys, we'll continue on with the install of the lower housing. As you can see, it's in. I was having trouble before getting it in, and it worked out that the new plastic housing that I got was the wrong one. It wouldn't slide over the water pipe, so I've had to wait for another one to come in. I fitted that off camera and now the gearbox is in, so we'll continue on fitting it up. Yeah, so this was the issue while I was having trouble. That's where the water pipe slides in, the pickup tube, and it is smaller than what the original one is. So $20 out the window. Cost me $60 to get a new one from Yamaha. Should have done that in the first place, but anyway, you live and learn, I suppose. So $80 part. So it's the same thing. You got the 6 bolts on the outside, you got the long one that goes through the top here, and then the one that holds the cavitation plate on. I also put a bit of Loctite on these as well, so we'll start to install them. A bit of Loctite and a bit of anti-seize. Alright, so I got the 6 outer bolts in. This is another trick I always use too, like just use a ratchet strap just to the top cowl of the motor and just holds the gearbox in place, so you don't have to sit there and hold it physically. When you're trying to do this stuff by yourself, you always need a third hand, you know, so ratchet straps are your friend. Got our long 14mm bolt that goes up under here. And last one that goes down from the top that holds the anode on. Little trick too, you always mark where the anode is sat, so you put it back in the right spot. Just put a little black Sharpie marker on the bottom of the gearbox leg and you should be right. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if this will pump water, if we've installed it right. This is going to be the first start. Hopefully it is going to pump water. Takes a couple of seconds. Come on, baby. There she is. Alright, I'll shut it off. Oh well, that's a successful repair. Yeah, water pump done. All I got left really is to do the gearbox oil. Obviously fit the prop and all that sort of stuff, but I'll do that now. Alright, yeah, so I'm going to call that done. I guess I'll sign off from this now. That's the 100-hour service, the water pump. Yeah, like I said, I still got the gearbox oil to change, but that's pretty straightforward. You don't need to see that. So yeah, takeaway from this, if you need replacement parts, don't go cheap and get the cheap stuff. Always go Yamaha. 40 bucks dearer. Well, it's more than that. It was 60 bucks dearer because I had to buy it twice. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you get something out of it.